Ruth, one of the most beloved books in the entire canon of Scripture, loved by Jews and Christians alike, read every year by the Jewish people on the holiday of Shavuot, and today specifically significant to many Christians around the world who recognize the book of Ruth as a type of what the relationship between Jews and Christians should be. Ruth representing Gentile Christians, and Naomi representing the Jewish people. It's a remarkable story. Begins with a lot of tragedy, but has a very, very happy ending. It's a story of a woman, a Gentile woman, a woman of faith, a woman of integrity, of compassion, of commitment, a woman named Ruth, who not only made her way from her pagan country of Moab to the land of Israel, but actually made her way into the lineage of the Messiah. It's a remarkable story. But I'd like to ask you right now, for just a moment, to take your eyes off Ruth and let's put our eyes on Naomi, because I believe Naomi is one of the stars of this show. A remarkable woman, also married to Elimelech, who Jewish history tells us was an aristocrat in Bethlehem. A famine hits and he moves his family, not just from Bethlehem, but to Moab, the land of the hated enemy of the Jewish people. The Jewish people believed the Moabites were barbarians, evil, awful, terrible people. The worst insult that an Israelite could pay to another Israelite was to call him a Moabite. And yet, Naomi finds herself living in this culture, a culture very, very different than Israel, where women are actually respected and even allowed to own property. But Naomi lives there, and then her husband dies. And then her sons actually take Moabite wives. They marry pagan Moabite women. Now, Jewish tradition tells us that those two women were actually princesses of Moab. They were daughters of the king. But when they married Naomi's sons, they would have moved into Naomi's house, which means those two pagan women would have watched Naomi every day of her life. They would have seen her when she was filled with joy and things were going well. They would have seen her when things were not going so well, when she was desperate, or when there was an opportunity for her to be upset. They would watch her as she mourned the death of one son and then the death of another son. And yet, when it was time for Naomi to leave and go back to Bethlehem, those two pagan women wanted to cleave to her. They wanted to go with her. And she had to say to them, no, go back. Go back to your people and to your gods. How can this be? Well, I believe it's because Naomi had to have lived her life every single day as a living witness to what it meant to be in covenant relationship with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. A God of mercy, of goodness, of kindness, of faithfulness, and yet of power and of strength. Every day, Naomi's life personified that God, until those two women wanted to cleave to Naomi and cleave to that God. Now we know that Orpah decided to go back, but Ruth didn't. Ruth traveled on with Naomi and made her famous declaration, wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you live, I will live. Your people will be my people. But most importantly, your God will be my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. A remarkable declaration of commitment to Naomi's God, which could only have happened because Naomi was such an incredible, incredible witness to life with that God. As Bible believers, as people who want to glorify the name of the Lord, I believe there is no better example than the example of Naomi.